Hi, thanks for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips that will help you get through the festive season with health and wellness in mind. Welcome to my channel. I'm Maria Hilliard. This is Women into Wellness, where I provide you with tools, tips and strategies to help you maximize your potential for wellness and well-being. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so because I've got lots of great new videos coming up soon. And if you enjoy the content in this video, please go ahead and share it. So let's get started on those 10 tips. Now, the first one is to make the decision that you are going to enjoy the holiday season and all that it brings, but that you are not going to use it as an excuse for a major blowout. Now, this is super important coming from two different perspectives. If you already have health and wellness on your mind and in your life as a regime or a routine where you eat healthily and you do workout, whether that's regularly or sporadically, then if you suddenly decide you're going to have a blowout, then it's going to really set back everything you've already done, and you're going to be starting the new year already on the back foot. Not only that, you will feel potentially a bit negative about the fact that you let all of your hard work thus far go to waste. And if you are someone who has been sedentary, or you've not made that much of an effort, or you've got a lot of headway to make and you want to start getting into a more healthy way of living, healthy lifestyle, say at the beginning of the new year, then what you don't want to do is suddenly, it's almost like saying, this is the last time that I'm going to have a blowout. Let's go crazy right now because I'm going to get on it in January. Because what you're going to do is potentially just add on so many more aspects of the unhealthy lifestyle now that's going to set you back when you start in January. So we don't want to think about that mindset of I'm going to put it off and I will start later, because there are small changes you can make now that it's going to give you a lot of headway for your new start in the new year, or for you picking back up your routine in the new year. And even more so, I use the term picking up, I'm going to suggest you don't even put it down in the first place. So the first thing is getting that mindset right to say that you are going to enjoy it, but it is not the excuse for one complete major lazy blowout that is overindulgent and sets you back. Number two, so following on from number one, what is it that you're going to do? Well, you are going to pick and choose when and what treats and indulgences you are going to allow yourself. This is really important because it allows you to take charge up front so that you already have a plan in place. Now, for example, if you know that generally you have 2 or 3 occasions that are going to be big meal days, whether these are days you're spending on your own or with family or social occasions or with work colleagues, then what you know is that perhaps those are the days that you're going to want to allow yourself to enjoy a few more indulgences. And I'm not going to quite say go all out, but you know where I'm heading. So pick that those are the days where you're not going to be as focused on, perhaps eating less or doing more exercise, but where you're just going to enjoy the day. And I'll give you some more tips for that in a moment. But pick those, choose them, set them and define them. So that's the when. Also, it's thinking about not only those particular days or occasions, but the types of food that you are going to allow yourself, because food is a huge part of health and wellness. And we're going to cover lots of different aspects, but food is one of the main ones that I think people struggle with at holiday seasons, because we kind of do these social occasions gathered around food, and social eating is a wonderful and beautiful thing, but we often have the tendency to overindulge. So think about what it is you want to allow yourself to have as those extra treats. So for example, let's take one, say it's a Christmas day. If that normally means you would be waking up, having a Bucks Fizz or champagne breakfast, that is going to be huge. And then you're going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to be eating chocolates all afternoon. And then you're going to have this huge Christmas lunch. And then you're going to be snacking throughout after that and having a big pudding. And then you're going to be having some Christmas evening food, whether that's going to be party food or some cheese and crackers, and interspersed throughout this, if you drink alcohol, there's usually lots and lots of drinks. Now, what I'm going to suggest is it doesn't have to quite be that way. You can pick and choose which parts of those meals which aspects of it are the ones that are really going to give you more joy, if you like. Which are the ones you want to indulge in, which are the ones you want to say yes to, and which are the ones you feel like you don't actually need. So for example, when you're having the breakfast, whatever your options might be, do you need to have a massive huge breakfast? Or can you pare back the breakfast? Could you have something light? Could you have a fruit salad? Could you have just a bit of salmon with some eggs? Do you need to be snacking on all of those chocolates in between, or can you allow yourself to have that one chocolate after your meal and then save yourself up to have the dessert or pudding later? So you get where I'm going with this. It's like if you've got a day where you're going to have the option of having 10 times where you can eat, because that's often what we do on a Christmas day, think about whether there's just 5 of those that you would want to actually engage in, or perhaps 6 or 7, or cut them down. Or cut down the amounts you're having. So like I said, when someone brings round that big bowl of the Christmas biscuits or the big bowl of chocolates, do you really need to take 2 or 3 or 4, or can you just take the one and that's your sweet treat for now, and then have another sweet treat later after your evening meal? Okay, so think about time as to when you're going to allow yourself the treats, and also what treats you are going to allow yourself. And I might add in here, if you have that particular type of food that is your favourite, whether that is a glass of Baileys, a glass of eggnog, or it's some Christmas pudding or a mince pie, then please don't think like you're having to restrict yourself and deny yourself the pleasure of having it. But sometimes it's choosing that and thinking, well, that means I won't have something else that I'm not too keen on, because I really want to enjoy my mince pie with the brandy butter or the Courvoisier cream later. Enjoy the treats, just don't have all the treats. Okay, so this one is really simple. When you are sitting down and you are having any of those meals, it's to focus on filling your plate with as many vegetables as possible, okay? High fibre-filled vegetables, complex carbohydrates. So this is going to be things like your carrots, your sprouts, the broccolis, the cabbage, the cauliflower, whatever it is that is on that table or on the option for a meal, have that first. And another good way of doing it is, if you tend to have a 3-course Christmas meal, then why not serve as the starter some type of soup or salad, rather than something like a pastry-based crudité or something that's doughy or heavier. So you could serve up something lovely like a broccoli and Stilton soup. You could be having that typical prawn salad starter. So make sure you have a bed of nice mixed leaves in there with that little handful of prawn, or little tablespoonful of prawns on top, so that you're getting that nice amount of veg in before you then fill up on all the other foods that are less healthful. So create options, whether it's for snacking or for your main meal. Focus on filling the plate, filling the belly more so with vegetables first, then adding on the meat, then adding on the carbohydrates after, like the potatoes and the Yorkshire pudding, all of those things, gravy. Add that on as your extras after, but you will have less space on the plate because you have filled up with this nutrient-dense, mineral, vitamin, phytonutrient, antioxidant rich food first, that is fibrous and filling, before you start engaging in all of the other foods. So that's a really good tip for you. So fill up on the vegetables. That is a great tip and a really easy one for you to do. Half the plate. Following on from eating vegetables, we've got number 4. This is going to be to just create more healthful options for snacks. So if you are going to be snacking throughout the day, forget just having mince pies and chocolate and your pastries and these typical kind of things. Why not have the crudités? So you can have sliced peppers, sliced cucumbers, have these with some dip, like some hummus. There's lots of different dips you could do, some tapenade, all sorts of things that are a bit more healthful. Have a bowl of olives, easy to pick into. Have a bowl of pickles. You get that fermented food. It's also the vegetables. Think also about getting in protein in easy snacks. So having those bowl of mixed nuts is a good snack to have. Now these are high fat content, but it's good fat content, and it comes with a lot of vitamins and minerals as well. And then think about having also chicken on a stick. It's a good way of getting in protein. And if you're going to have hors d'oeuvres, then why not make something that's maybe got some egg in it? So half an egg, and then maybe you've scooped out the yolk, you've mixed that in with some chives, something, popped it back in the egg. Great snacks, healthful, you are packing on a lot of nutrients. You're packing on your macronutrients, of course, so you're getting all of your energy benefits from them, but also having those micronutrients there, and it's filling food. The vegetables are fibrous, they're going to fill you up. The protein is going to fill you up because it takes long to digest as well. Get these foods in, have them as some healthful options instead of just going for those typical shop bought or pastry filled, denser, sweeter, heavy, processed snacks. Okay, super important, hydration. It may not sound like that much fun, but this is so vital every day of your life, but particularly when you are in the festive season and if you are going to be indulging in alcoholic beverages and overindulging in a lot of treat food. The reason for that is if you're indulging in treat food, you need to allow your body that extra ability to flush itself out, to digest a processed food, get it all flushed through. But also, especially if you are drinking, you need to remain hydrated. Give that liver something to work with. Give the kidneys that flush through as well. So hydration, you need to be having, generally aiming for approximately, as a guide, 2 litres a day. However, if you are then consuming alcoholic beverages throughout the day, think about interspersing these with your non-alcoholic, non-caffeinated, non-diuretic drinks in between. So that means having your cups of things like herbal tea throughout the day, cups of water throughout the day, intersperse it, stay hydrated. And if it's something you think you're going to forget once you've had one too many Bucks Fizzes or glasses of bubbly or wines, then think about hydrating early on the day. So when you wake up, break that overnight fast by having a large cup of water. Have your breakfast, have a cup of water after your breakfast is finished. Give yourself sort of at least half an hour to start digesting that food. Have a cup of water then. So fill up and make sure that before you get to that Christmas meal at midday, that you've had approximately 4 glasses of water, which if they're 8 ounces or so would be half of your water content for the day. So glasses of water and or cups of herbal tea, but something that's not got caffeine in it or that's not going to make you expel water any faster than you normally would, so that you feel hydrated. Another benefit of this is that when you are hydrated, not only does it improve your cognitive and your physical function for all of those family games of Twister and or any of those brain games that you might be playing, those board games you open up at festive time, but it's also going to help you feel a bit more satiated, because what we've often noticed is that when you feel hungry, it's sometimes because you're dehydrated. So start yourself off on the right foot. It's also going to fend off the opportunity for a hangover the next day, which most of us would all want to avoid on Boxing Day. So make sure that you are hydrated. The best way, start early, get it in, drink full glasses before you have your big lunchtime meal, and then make sure you intersperse it throughout the evening and then have another glass. If you don't want to be waking up through the night, I'd say have it 2 hours before you go to bed, but make sure that is threaded throughout your day. Hydration. Now, this is one for you if you are looking to keep your body size similar, not put on loads of fat over this holiday season. Then I'm going to suggest for you trialing intermittent fasting. Now, if this is something that you don't already do, then you're going to need some guidance for it. I have a course that I can link down below, so pop out the details there about how you can embed intermittent fasting safely into your life. Now, intermittent fasting is basically, the way I'm going to suggest it for you is eating within a compressed time frame, a compressed window throughout your day. If you think about it, when you go to sleep, you naturally fast overnight and then you break that fast in the morning with the first meal or the first food that you consume that has macronutrients in it. So that's usually what we call a breakfast because it breaks the fast. Now, if you are looking to maintain the weight that you're currently at, or you're looking to not gain weight, excessive amounts of weight, this can be a really good way of doing it. There are a whole load of other health benefits that come along with intermittent fasting. It's a bit too much for me to cover in this video, but check out the course I've linked below. So I'm mainly talking about here to counteract some of the overindulging that you feel you might be tempted to do later on in the day. Now, think about it this way. If you would normally get up and you would have a big breakfast in the morning, and then you would have your other 2 meals of the day and perhaps snacking, what intermittent fasting is going to do is it's going to compress your eating into a smaller time frame. This means that overnight in that fasted state, you're going to start extending the fasting period into the morning, which means your body goes into burning fat stores because it's having to last longer without any readily available consumed food, so anything you've just eaten. So the best way to do it is to wake up, to not have a breakfast, or to push your breakfast later to become a brunch, or in fact skip it and then have lunch. And this means in the morning you can drink as much as you like, as long as it doesn't have carbs in it. So no sugary drink or drinks with milk in it. So you can have tea, you can have your black coffee and things like that. But then you might wait, and instead of having a breakfast, say at 8 or 9 in the morning, have it, for example, at 10 a.m. or have a brunch at 11 a.m. or wait till your lunch at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. depending on what time you went to bed. So it's all about compressing your eating into a shorter window. And if you've never done it before, you maybe want to compress it into 12 hours, or you can try 10 hours if that closely fits the kind of time window you eat in now, or you can press it shorter than that into 8 hours. And like I said, what this does is it allows you to start tapping into those fat stores, because you're now going overnight. You've had an extended period of time without taking on food. You're going to burn into those fat stores, and what it may also do is actually reduce the amount of food you eat in a day, because you were potentially lifting out a meal. Now what might happen is, as long as you stay hydrated, you might find by the time you get to lunch you're not even that hungry. So you just eat your regular lunch or your lovely slightly bigger festive lunch, and then you might have your snacks in between or your evening meal, but then you try and finish at a certain time so that you're not eating right up till or consuming right up to the time that you go to bed. So stick within those hours of between 12 to 8 hours where you are in your eating state. And that is going to help you manage how much you eat, but also manage your fat burning ability and turn your body more so into a fat burning machine. Now you can also think about the pattern that you're doing this on. So you could have maybe a couple of days where you try it throughout that festive week, and then a couple of days where you eat your normal routine to see how you phase into it. But this is a really good tip and a really good strategy if you have longer health benefits in mind. But what I will say is you need to do your research, you need to apply it properly, take care of your health first and foremost. So check out the course I've linked below that will take you and guide you through the process. Okay, now there's also the tendency sometimes over festive seasons to become sedentary. This means that we sit down, we don't move our body as much. We're glued to the sofa, whether that's because we're chatting to loved ones or because we're just watching fun Christmas movies. Now, what I'm going to suggest here is you do need to try and remain active. So rather than spending 5 hours at a time sat on the sofa, try and break that up and intersperse it with periods of getting up and moving around the house. So although it's the festive season and we want to enjoy ourselves, we still usually have chores or things that we need to do. So I'm going to suggest that at the bare minimum, you just get up and you are interspersing your periods being sat down. So if you're binge watching something or watching back-to-back movies, between every episode or every half an hour, get up, go and do something in the house, come back down. If you're watching a movie, after that movie, take a break, go and do something else where you're active in the house, in the garden, or go and take a walk for 20 or 30 minutes. Now, added on to this idea of taking a walk, what a lovely way to break up the festive period is just go out for a walk. If you're lucky to have the countryside near you or a park, then please do get out there. Get that added benefit of being out in nature, because that not only helps you with your health and helps you digest and get your body moving and your muscles, it helps your well-being as well to be out in nature. And if you can do it with someone you love, lovely. Go and have a walk, go and have a chat, make a video call while you're out there, keep walking while you're doing it so that you're getting that movement in the body. And then if you want to up the ante, then yes, do some exercise. I'm going to suggest that you exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes every day, 5 days a week. This can be any exercise you like. This can be a scheduled workout program. It can be something you're doing yourself, following a video that you found, having a membership for an online program, doing a fun workout with the family, or just popping on some music and jumping and dancing around to Michael Bublé. Whatever makes you happy, do something where you're moving your body for 30 minutes a day throughout this holiday period to make sure you don't slip into that sedentary period where you then have a harder push to come back out of it from. Okay, let's talk a bit about brain health. We talked about sitting on the couch all day watching TV. I love to binge watch as well, but I'm going to suggest an alternative for you. So thinking about stimulating your brain by playing some games that are going to get your mind involved. And this all feeds into your cognitive side of yourself. So you want to be picking games where you actually have to think. Now, whether this is playing charades, it's great, it's got a bit of movement involved, so at least you're off the couch when it's your turn. But playing games like charades, playing chess, playing drafts, playing backgammon, playing word games, getting out the crossword, playing Pictionary. Any of these games you can play as a family. You can come up with games, you can make them up, you don't need to spend money on expensive games. This is a really nice way to just keep the brain going, keep yourself active, and keep your mind engaged in something that is other than just sat there watching a TV or perhaps being talked at by a relative who's been talking non-stop for several hours. Okay, we've come to number 9. Now, this suggestion is to use your holiday time, whether that ends up being 1 day, 2 day, 2 weeks, as a time to calm down and to slow down and to reflect. So you don't always need to be doing more, being everywhere. And in fact, the situation may be that this is a time for you where you see less people and that you are doing less. So take that as a positive. Think about doing less, taking time for yourself, just being with yourself, being in the moment, trying to embed some mindfulness strategies, whether this is active meditation, some moving meditation. If you want to know more about those, check out my videos because I have some as well. Or you want to be doing something where you're just reading or engaging quietly in an activity. Take it as a time to slow down. If you feel like you don't really want to see people and you don't have to, this is a perfect time to do exactly what suits you. Now, especially if you don't really get much time off, if you work, you don't have much time off from work, you really don't want to spend it stressing around, running around and seeing everybody so that you actually feel like you don't get a break. Perfect time. Use this, say that I gave you permission to do so, that this is the year where you are just going to do you and you're going to have some me time. Reflect, write a journal, write a few pages of that novel you've wanted to write. Just chill out, do nothing, do whatever serves you best and just enjoy the time for yourself. And the 10th and final one is talking about financial wellness, because when you're worried about money, it's really no good for your well-being and your levels of mental stress. So don't feel like this time of year or any festive time of the year means that you have to spend loads of money on decorations, food and gifts. You really don't need to. There are cheap ways of doing it, or in fact you can just say, actually, I'm going to make this festive season focused more on something else. For example, spending more time with the people I love, or connecting with the people I love, or really just thinking about what this means this time of year and relishing that rather than all of the material aspect that goes around it. So if you want to still spend a little bit of money or still have those things, I'm going to give you some really cheap ways of thinking about this. So if you want your home to look festive and be decorated for this season, then why not go and look at thrift shops? Have a look in the second-hand stores. What can you find there that is super cheap and what can you repurpose? Even better than that, can you make some handmade, homemade decorations yourself? This is a lovely one, especially if you have a family or you have kids or you're crafty and anyone else in the family likes to be crafty with you. Sit down, pop on some music, start making something. And in fact, I'll give you an example. This I made one year when I didn't want to spend any money. I made a whole set of these, about 20 of them, out of toilet rolls, just painted white. And I love them. They're like my little snowflake flowers that go in the tree. And they've been coming out for a few years since. So that's a nice option to have. Now, I'm also going to talk about then, if you don't want to spend money particularly on food, then think about how your normal meals that you have. So hopefully you normally do have in fruit and vegetables and you have your normal stores of spices and things like this. How can you jazz something up just by buying one extra thing? So that might be whether you're going to get a nut roast this year, or whether you're going to go with something traditional like a turkey, whether you eat animal or meat-based proteins or not. having that one thing. So for example, you could get that one joint of meat, but think about jazzing up the rest of your food. So your carrots, can you be cooking those with some lemon then drizzled on top, or some lemon rind in the water so you have lemon carrots? Can your parsnips be tossed in a little bit of honey beforehand? Can you make spicy paprika potatoes just to jazz them up? So sometimes you might just need to spend, for example, £2 or £3 or £5 on getting a couple of extra herbs so that you can jazz up the normal food that you would buy, and perhaps just have that one source of protein that you would buy, because a lot of us eat protein, whether it is plant or animal based anyway, and use it in more creative and interesting ways. And when I mention gifts, there's a whole plethora of gifts out there that can be handmade or things you don't have to spend money on. And in fact, I've made another video on that. I will link it below. So be sure to check it out as well, because you don't need to be spending money on presents. So is there something that you have that you can repurpose that is still good quality or still valuable to somebody? It doesn't have to be brand new every time. A great example of this is a book. A book really doesn't need to be bought brand new. Is there a book that you've read that you're happy to pass on to somebody else that could add huge value to their life? Then go ahead and do that. Is there an item of jewellery or an item of clothing or an ornament in your house that you think would look great in somebody else's? There's no reason why you can't package this up and purpose it on for somebody else. And what about, again, visiting the thrift stores or those gift shops? Then that's a great way. Or making something yourself. There's really lovely things that you can make for people, from doing drawings of things and then just popping them in a frame. It might even be a frame that you used to have. Or from creating for them something like some nice truffle balls or some power balls. This is your food items. Or creating a gift such as nice oils. So this might be an oil that's got chilies in it, that's in a nice jar, like a mason jar. Or it can be creating things like a body oil. So all you would need for that is a bottle that you can put the oil in, and something like some drops of essential oil. So things that can be purchased in terms of, you buy one thing. So you might buy a bottle of carrier oil, you might buy an essential oil, and then some containers to put it in, and you could get all of those for £10, but you could then make small bottles and gifts for 10 people. So things like this that are going to be cheap and affordable, or cost no money whatsoever, or repurpose something you no longer need that can add value to somebody else, is a great way. So there you have it. There are my 10 holiday season tips. Now, we covered a lot of things here. I hope you found it helpful. If you're interested in more gift giving or holiday season gifts, I have some videos linked below. If you're interested in intermittent fasting, check out the course below. But most importantly, if you found this video helpful, then please go ahead and share it so that others can benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified, and hit that bell for any new videos that I drop. Thanks for watching me today, and until I see you next time, have a lovely holiday season, enjoy it, and do what's best for you and your loved ones to get through the season with health and wellness in mind.